The idea that this virus lays bare some of the critical problems in our economy, especially when it comes to globalization and manufacturing, is something that came up in my interview this week with Senator Marco Rubio. We started, however, by discussing that part of the $2 trillion relief bill he helped write, trying to save small businesses. I asked him what this bill does for those businesses.
In the simplest terms, what we're trying to do here is allow these businesses to stay afloat and stay connected to their workforce until we get out of this, however long it might be. We know we're not talking about 9 months or 12 months, but we also know we're not talking about 9 or 10 days. And so we've got to be able to provide people support to get there. How it works is pretty straightforward. If you are a business with 500 employees or less, or qualify as a small business under the SBA regulations, if you're a 501c3 with 500 employees or less, or if you're an independent contractor, like an Uber driver or people in the gig economy, you will be able to go to a local lender, a participating lender, of which all the major banks and almost every community bank will as well. It'll be hard to find a bank that doesn't participate in this. You will be able to go and get a grant, a cash grant in the amount equivalent to 250% of your monthly payroll before the crisis. And you will not have to pay that back as long as you spend that money on payroll, benefits for your employees, rent, and utilities. And that's the gist of it. And the hope is that we can put this money in the hands of these organizations and of these businesses and of these individuals so they can stay afloat, so that they can, as you just said, so that there will be an economy to recover once this passes.
How do you think this episode is going to fundamentally alter us as a society? I mean,
that's a great
going
question.
Through something like this is very powerful for a lot of people.
I would say to you that I don't know yet. I can tell you that there has never been a dramatic global event such as this in the history of our country and the history of the world that has not transformed the societies that it impacted. This is a global event. I don't know what the world will look like exactly after this, but it won't look like this. It will have an impact on reordering the global economic order, the geopolitical order, and certainly our domestic politics. One of the areas I do think we'll never go back to is this notion that we don't have to have an industrial capacity. For about 2.5 years now, I've been talking about this. I've gotten significant criticism from some in my own party about it. But my argument has been we cannot depend on foreign production of critical elements of our economic supply chain, whether it's in technology or in pharmaceuticals, or now we learn in nasal swabs for medical tests and protective gear for our medical personnel. And I think that is part of the dynamic that will forever change. I believe in capitalism 100%, but because capitalism will always allocate capital to its most efficient use. Unfortunately, sometimes the most efficient use of capital, the most efficient outcome, is not in our national interest. So it is probably a lot cheaper and more efficient to build ventilators in China or abroad. It is certainly not in our national interest, as we're learning right now. When we come back, we talk about the Jackson ICU nurse who died and whether the hospital is ready for what will hit them in the weeks ahead. Stay with us.